I'm Liz from Dover. First of all, you're my hero. Thank you so much for everything you do. I have to admit, in the 90s, I was a flaming liberal. Still recovering a little from that, little post-traumatic stress. So I have a question for you about unions, because I grew up believing that unions were there to protect people. My father was a union man. He and I kind of bat that topic around lately, and I'm trying to be the, right to work advocate and, kind of anti-union. I'm trying to speak out about that, but I'm struggling with it because he seems to have a lot of good points, like the union got him through, the union got him his pension, the union got his benefits up, and without that he would have been trashed. His 45 years at Lucent would have not been. So I'm trying to figure out how to process that.
You do not have to be anti-union to be freedom of choice. What you have to do is you have to protect voluntary contracts. I spoke a little bit about economic contract. There should not be a prohibition against unions organizing. And I think if you had free market unions, you might have competing unions. But anybody who works, if you work for somebody and there's 100 of you, nobody should have a law that says you 100 people can't stand around and talk to each other. But what you're not allowed to have is the force of government, the federal government, to come in and say that if there's a 51% vote, the 49 have to go along with it, you have to pay dues into this, and then if 51% say that is the law, that you can force your contract on the businessman. Or force, like Davis-Bacon laws that say that if you get a government contract, you have to pay wages which are about twice as high as the market. See, that's interference in the contract. But I think if we really, I touch on this on Liberty Defined, that maybe what would develop is if you recognize the right to organize, but also the right to contract, maybe you would have, let's say you needed 100 plumbers for your business. Well, maybe there'd be two unions that would do this, but and then you'd pick the one who comes up with the best deal. And the people who would pick the unions that they go into would be the ones that look like they know how best to deal with business people. But I think this is a real possibility that they could do that. I think safety would be a major thing. I don't happen to believe that the approach with OSHA is the best approach, because it's authoritarian and it comes down and hits hard and they march in and they don't know you're coming. Insurance companies should be involved. The safer you are, the lower your insurance will be. But I also make the assumption that business people, it's not in their interest to make it harmful for the workers. But why wouldn't the workers who could organize come in and say, look, this is a grievance that we have in sort of a non-confrontational way, not with the heavy hand of government come down and say, this is what we're going to do, we have the force of government. And then when you think about what Obama has just done with Boeing, and Boeing is not one of my favorite companies, but actually they wanted to start a new company, spend $1 billion, hire hundreds and hundreds of new people, then Obama comes along and says, well, under the National Labor Relations Act, we're not going to let you do it. That's the kind of things that turn people off from unions. But I don't think you have to be anti-union or anti-worker. And besides, the freer the market, workers become scarce. Because the better the worker, the more he can produce and the more money he makes. Because in the free market, if he's not producing, if he's not earning as much as he wants, there's going to be somebody else that can produce. But with a heavy hand of government, like in the Midwest, when we have all this union power and wages were 3 times as high as they should be, and they go out of business, and then they go south, and now the president won't let them go south. Who knows where they're going next? They might go further south or China or someplace like that. So that's
Thank you very much.
All right.
Very educational.